So I think a big thing that happened that kind of changed my life's path again is when I got back. Um, I have this soul sister, best friend of mine, who actually came to India the second time when I
Huh?
was there. And when I got back, I was with her, and I hadn't like established roots. I think I was staying at her place, or I don't remember. But
Feel for you.
we were just kind of out and about having fun, decided to go skateboarding. And back then I thought I was just like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, immortal. And I had no business being on a skateboard on this high. I don't even know what it's called, where you drop in.
Yeah,
And I
ramp.
ramp, yeah. And I dropped in, and I won't go through the details, but I broke my leg in a really, really bad way where I had to have surgery and screws and a plate.
Yeah, yeah.
Had to learn, like, how
Walk
to
again.
walk again because that leg was just like, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was life changing because I was a strong yogi who traveled the world, and all of a sudden I'm in a wheelchair and can't walk for a long period of time. Then I graduated to like a boot, and so that was a big learning process, and then they moved. This is. So then while I was in surgery, my friends, her and another friend, moved me into, remember the boyfriend, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Into his mother's house. Because
Huh.
she and I had gotten really close.
Yeah.
Right. She's amazing. I wish you could sit and talk to her. Like, she's just an amazing person. And so I was moved into her house. And then I lived there for a few months, maybe like 6 months or something. And then during that time, like, I remember I would like get out of the wheelchair, get on the floor.
You had to rely on the kindness of others at
Yeah.
this time.
Yeah.
Because you probably
And-
spent all your money on your travels.
Right.
You come back, break your leg, and now, like, how do you make money? How do
Right.
you...
And I couldn't make money. I couldn't walk.
No,
I
you couldn't make
get out
money?
for a
Goodness.
while,
Yeah.
you know?
The wheelchair jobs.
What?
There's no wheelchair jobs.
Right.
I mean, back
Right.
then.
Which gave me an eye. Like, it opened up my world.
Because you had to slow down?
Because I had to slow down. I also started to see like the world through somebody's eyes that has what may be referred to as a disability.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
like, well, nothing is accessible
You're
to me
relying on
at
the
all.
kindness of others,
Yeah.
of community.
Right. And then I couldn't do this practice that was like really what kind of healed me
You
in
couldn't
so
do
many
yoga.
ways. Yeah. So then I started reading like this book, 1 Year to Live, which is all about, what if you were dying in a year?
Uh-huh.
Right? And then I got into the philosophy of yoga and started reading out, because before that, yoga was more of a physical practice that helped me feel more spiritually connected. But there wasn't really a spiritual practice, if you will, like
Okay.
meditation or chanting or so that's when I started getting into all that. Like, how can yoga be more accessible? Is yoga sitting on the floor and doing a couple stretches, which it was for me at that time, right? And then getting into the philosophy as I started to read all these books, and then meditation, and so that, I think, is honestly what really shifted things for me and led me to kind of like where I am today, right?
Was the wheelchair experience.
Yeah. The breaking the leg.
Because you couldn't practice yoga in the way you'd known it, it gives you that time and space to invite in yoga in different ways.
Yeah.
The meditation, the
Right.
breathing,
And I was privileged. I had support, right?
Yeah.
And so I didn't have to work.
Yeah.
And so that meant I had time to study and to read and to contemplate and all the things.
contemplative practice. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mary, you are a badass.
Aw.
You're a legit badass.
Thanks.
I have 2 daughters, and I think they should spend time with someone like you, a woman that's a badass.
That's
someone that
kind.
To travel the world alone, to seek, to be a seeker in that way. What is this all about? To go through what you went through as a small child, and that be the fruit of that very disorganized tree is a
Mhm.
beautiful thing.
Mm.
And I imagine it took a lot of strength and courage and bravery to do those things, to return there, and probably a healthy, desire for adventure.
Mm-hmm.
and novelty, learning and growing through experience. It's admirable in so many ways.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mm.
Goodness. And hearing that, it adds so much depth to who you are in my eyes. Wow. How old are you? Why is that funny?
I don't know.
You're like, I'm 33.
Yeah. No, my birthday is March 8th, so I'm going to be 44.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's like a life, so many lives.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And when did you start supporting other people's yoga practice and other people's yoga journey?
Not until I moved to Austin. So I moved to Austin in 2005. And then I got a job like working as a server in a restaurant.
Stayed in that restaurant business.
I know, right?
Yeah.
While I was living with my, her name is Donna. Well, yeah.
Donna?
Yep.
Is the partner's mom?
Right. Uh-huh. So we moved here together. I don't think she was born here, but she spent a lot of time
This
here.
dude's mom turned out to be one of your like
She still is.
besties.
I love her.
Donna?
To death. Yeah. Yeah. So she wrote songs for Willie Nelson and all these other artists, and she's an artist herself, and she's an amazing woman. And I think she kind of opened up yoga as like this really meaningful spiritual practice for me, and I hadn't kind of seen it in that light because she would meditate and just talk about spirituality. But anyways, so I moved here with her because she was going through a divorce. And I actually was living with them as they were kind of, I know,
it hadn't been a
out.
hard time for them.
Yeah, I think it was very hard. And then once they got divorced, she's like, there's nothing keeping me here. I want to move. And I was like, I've been wanting to move.
What town was that in?
That was outside of Nashville.
Okay.
Yeah. And so then she's like, well, I've lived in Austin before. I love Austin. And I was like, I'll give it a try. And so I came down here to visit one guy that or maybe we traveled to Austin together. I don't remember. And I was like, okay, this is an interesting place. I don't mind living here for a little while. And it was meant to be a pit stop. I was going to go either to like California or Colorado. I don't remember because I do not like the heat. And so we came, that was 2005, and I've been here
Never left
since, right? Yeah. And then at some point, so I was working a restaurant job. I was teaching yoga like in my house. And then, I got a class at a studio, and then just from there, soon after I was like, I can't really, work at a restaurant and teach because, at the restaurant business, it's challenging. There's sometimes, I don't know about every restaurant, but where I was, there was like a lot of heavy drinking and partying.
Yeah, the restaurant culture tends to be full of distraction.
And so I ended up giving that up and teaching full time. And then I've been doing that ever since.
And did you find a partner and get married?
I did, yeah. So we got married about 10 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Had some kiddos.
Yeah, his name is Rigoberto. And
Rigoberto Perez.
Yep.
Perez.
Yeah. Yeah, and so we have 2 boys.
Oh.
Micah and Elijah.
Is he into yoga?
Funny enough, like that's how we met. Let's see. Well, technically we met because he was my neighbor, and he was interested in my roommate. She was a massage therapist, and he was talking about yoga, and she's like, my roommate's a yoga teacher. And so we started talking.
Uh-huh.
And it was just friendly, right?
Right, because he was trying to get in good
right.
with your.
And he's a really nice guy. And remember, like, that's not my,
What?
That was not my.
You don't go for guys like that.
Right.
You.
I want like not.
You wanted a bad boy. He wasn't wounded enough for you.
He wasn't wounded enough. Well, it turns out he was, but but he's willing to work on it just like me.
Yeah.
But anyways, so I wasn't really interested at first. And we were friendly, but and then he did end up coming to my yoga class, right? And we weren't dating at that time, and so I was fine with that because I have I have like boundaries around, you don't date yoga students.
You don't.
No, I mean, at a certain there have to be some, like, I don't know, it's situational, I'll put it that
Because
way.
of the power dynamic?
Well, I don't honestly, I think, like, the way that I teach, there shouldn't be a power
I
dynamic.
don't, yeah, you have a very like flat hierarchy vibe.
Right. So the way
Right.
that I teach, I don't think there should be a power dynamic, but I
But there
think
always will be if you're at the front of the class and you're kind of holding the wisdom, even
what
if you try to flatten it.
I just think that because that has been an area where people have gotten hurt many times historically.
Yeah.
Like that's something that yoga teachers need to be aware of. And if you have that general rule in place, like I'm not going to date yoga students, right?
Yeah.
But then again, it's situational because I don't know, maybe someone comes along and like, you end up being more friends than you are like yoga teacher, yoga student. I
Right.
don't know. But for me, it was important to kind of have that rule in place, right?
Right.
Because then it also just made room for like clear communication among students,
Right.
who might approach me.
But you knew him before he came to your class.
I knew him before, yeah, and I knew he was interested in yoga, and then I got the hint that he was interested in me, and I don't know if it was that, but also he was coming to a class that was physically demanding and required some like prior knowledge, And
Uh-huh.
I was like, you need to go to a beginner series and have that
You really
foundation.
need to get out of my
Right.
class.
And so I basically told him like you can't come to my class anymore.
Yeah, my class is too hardcore for you. Okay.
For multiple reasons, It's like if you're interested in me, that makes it kind of,
Okay. You were
and
interested too.
not in the beginning, but yes, eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Old
Yeah.
school persistence carried the day.
Right.
Old
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he started taking Steven was the owner of that studio. It was called Eastside Yoga. And he started taking Steven's beginner series. And then since then he hasn't really come back to my class. No, I
Well, he
mean
gets privates now, right? Or he doesn't do yoga
yeah,
anymore. He's
anymore.
out of
I'm
yoga.
like, okay.
He was in yoga for the chicks, man.
Yeah. Now I see. Now I see what your intention was. Uh-huh. Which I think I probably knew back then too.
Yoga for the chicks.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
yoga chicks are cool. Yoga chicks are cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.